It's an honor to be here. I wasn't sure I was going to be here tonight because the NDP was delaying things in Parliament and playing all kinds of games, but it's, I'm learning a lot in the political scene. As my wife Nadja, who's right here, always said, she said, in business, 1 + 1 = 2. In politics, 1 + 1 can equal 3, it can equal 7, it can equal 2. It's a different ballgame, but very interesting. What I thought I'd do tonight is give you a little bit of an update in terms of what's happening, and one of the reasons we're here is we'll celebrate the end of the carbon tax, which really penalized a lot of hard-working Ontarians, and I'll touch on that and give you an update on what's going on at Queen's Park and where we're going from here. And we'll start with that. So the legislature typically, we were elected June 7th, and the legislature normally resumes in September. Doug Ford and his team, the Premier, moved very, very quickly. We had a throne speech very quickly after the election, early July. Parliament's resumed, and we're getting down to business. I think we're showing the province, we're showing other provinces that we are on the right track, that we are making things happen. We've done already an incredible amount of work and proactive legislation, which is why we needed to set the legislature up so early. So we're sitting in the summer, we're working hard and making things happen. One of the biggest things that we focused on was the carbon tax. And I can tell you, that was a very punitive tax that did absolutely nothing for the environment whatsoever. No. Absolutely nothing. It hurt working class Canadians, working class Ontarians, businesses, consumers, families, across the board of all income levels. Obviously hurt the poor more because it's a higher percentage of their expenses are gasoline and heating. So it's been a very punitive tax in a sense. And we went through, the Honourable Rod Phillips, who's the Minister of the Environment, introduced legislation to remove that. We are in the process of that. We are very excited. Now the statistics on that are 14,000 jobs will be created as a direct result of eliminating that tax right now. 14,000 jobs. That's what the statistics are. So we are on the right track to making life more affordable here in Ontario. And we care a lot about the environment. In fact, a day or two ago, Jeff Urich, the Honourable Minister on Forestry, announced $100 million more in money in financing. There's a lot of forest fires going on in Ontario right now, in Northern Ontario. And we've got some people from the United States and Mexico helping us out to curtail those fires. We've announced more financing to be able to fight those fires. So we are and we're going to have a full environmental plan come out in the months ahead as well. So I don't, some of our critics will say you haven't got a plan in place or you don't care about climate change. We've never denied climate change is a reality. It's a man-made, certainly man contributes to that. We've never denied that, but the reality is we don't need to penalize hard-working people in order to have a proactive approach to the environment. So we're going to be having some things coming out, I think, through the fall, and we'll be looking forward to that. So that's certainly number one, which was on our definitely to-do list. We've also, I don't know if, probably no one here, I don't think anyone here may be attending, but York University, we had the longest university strike in Ontario history.
Shame.
Disgraceful. And the government did absolutely nothing on that file. They just sat on it. We've got them going back to school in September. This was very important. We had to sit in the summer. Over 40,000 students will be going back, and people were losing their degrees and their years. This was a very serious issue we had to deal with. Third issue, of course, is hydro, and there's a lot to be done on that file. There'll be more coming down the pipe in the months ahead. But it ended, it ended very, very well in terms of the CEO. We all know about the $6 million man, and the board, and some of the things that they did, which they shouldn't have, and they're all leaving, and the severance on that is zero. Zero. So we've made some great decisions on that, and we're excited about that. We've also made some decisions in terms of, we've got a line-by-line audit right now. So that will be coming out. We've hired a number of independent people, including Gordon Campbell, the former Premier of British Columbia, who will be analyzing and going through line-by-line audit of the province of Ontario's books. And I can tell you they are not in great shape, but we'll find out the full details from that independently August 30th, so we'll probably get that out in September. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that as well. That's important because this province is so badly mismanaged, it's disgraceful. And it's not going to be easy, and every decision we make is maybe not going to be applauded, certainly not by the media. We know what they're like. But there's a saying that, you know, a politician that focuses on the short term is just focused on the next election. A politician who focuses for the long term is a statesman. And I think that's the mentality in this government. We're not all focused on getting elected in 4 years, or we're focused on doing the right thing and for the province, for the long term. We're not worried about, you know, 2 or 3 or 6 months or what the polls indicate day to day, although I think we have had tremendous support in the polls, but we can't be guided by that. We can't be focused on that. We need to be focused on doing the right thing. And our government is. So I'm proud to be part of a government that is doing that. So. There's a lot more issues we need to tackle, obviously, in education, the debt. There's a lot of other issues we're going to focus on, and we're going to deal with that. And I think this is a government that is committed to action and making life more affordable. Ontario is so unaffordable today, whether it's hydro, gases, and obviously real estate. We're going to be obviously dealing with some labor reform issues in the fall as well, so we have a lot on our agenda. A lot of exciting things to talk about. We do want to get this province back on track to be the economic engine. We used to be the engine of Canada. Ontario was the leading province in this country in economic growth, and over the last 10 years, we've fallen to 10th out of 10 provinces in economic growth.
Wow.
10th in terms of the actual trajectory. I mean, Ontario's always been the wealthiest province, but our rate of growth has been slowing and slowing and slowing, while provinces like Quebec are trajectory is to the upside. Ours has been almost flatlined over 10 years. So we're going to get this province back on track. There's a lot we need to do. And what's interesting, the Premier was in New Brunswick maybe 2 weeks ago, meeting with the other premiers, talking about some of the border issues right now, which is an important issue. We're trying to get some money from the federal government on that, because the federal government has basically opened up the borders. There's thousands of illegal border crossers coming in to Quebec in particular, and then they come to Ontario. They're trying to stick us with the bill. Lisa MacLeod, who's our minister in charge of that area, is going to Ottawa next week to see about getting some money on that, which is long overdue, but also more importantly, they should be protecting our borders. And I think it's, you know, we're having a positive impact, because I know Premier Ford, when he went to New Brunswick 2 weeks ago, got a lot of the other premiers on side with him in terms of some of these immigration issues, and some of the issues in terms of dealing with the federal government. So we're actually, people seem to be rallying around Ontario again. Ontario's showing leadership once again. And that's been sidelined for so many years. I don't think a lot of people took Ontario that seriously, but I think they're seeing serious leadership. The prime example is a carbon tax. Just the other day, Justin Trudeau, the federal government, this wasn't front page news, but they actually cut some of the taxes on large corporations. It was very beneath the surface. Didn't want to admit it, because Catherine McKenna, the federal minister on that, has always suggested that it does not hurt business. It does not, having this carbon tax. Well, clearly, it's been major negative impact on businesses here in Canada. In fact, it's actually had more of a negative impact on the environment, because what was starting to happen was companies were moving to other jurisdictions where they wouldn't have any carbon tax, and they would actually be polluting because they had less regulations there. So it was actually hurting Canadian businesses, sending business elsewhere, and polluting in those other countries more than what would have been polluted in Canada. So finally, the federal government is, you know, starting to tippy-toe and acknowledge, without too much acknowledgement, because they don't want to admit too much of their mistake, that they made a mistake. And so I think what we have in Ontario, finally, is a government that's willing to stand up to the federal government. We haven't had that in a long, long time. So I'm proud to be a government of that. So my point in having this get together tonight, celebrate with everyone, see everyone again, and I know it's the summer, but we are very busy in the legislature. In terms of locally, we do have our office, of course, at Queen's Park, but we have an office. We're temporarily in the old office of Kevin Flynn, which is down in Bronte on Lakeshore, but we are in the midst of negotiating and signing a new lease for a new office, so we'll keep you posted on that. That will be in central Oakville on Rebecca Street, so near Kerr, so more central in Oakville, and we hope to be there October 1st. We'll certainly advertise that, and we will be, by the way, we'll have a grand opening to that office as well. We'll firm that up a date. It'll probably be mid to late October on a Saturday. We'll let you know. It'll be a kid-friendly event. Bring your children, grandchildren. We'll have all kinds of fun things going on there, so certainly make sure you keep posted on that. We'll advertise that as well. So that's one of the local things. I've been at some local community events. We've had lots of local community events here. We had Midnight Madness. We had a booth there, and I must say our team did a phenomenal job, and the volunteers that were there. We had the most popular booth at Midnight Madness with our clown and face paint. So we were very popular at Midnight Madness. We had an incredible turnout there and a lot of support, so that went extremely well as well. And I was at Emancipation Day on Monday of this week, which was a fantastic event down on Navy Street at the old Oakville Museum. And for those of you that, many of you may know Oakville's history, but Oakville was a real central town in the Underground Railroad, transporting fugitive slaves up from the United States. And there was a Captain Wilson, who was a school named after in Oakville, who was a captain of grain ships in the Great Lakes and Lake Ontario, and he would bring a lot of them up, hidden in the grain, a lot of these fugitive slaves up from Ohio, and transport them up to Oakville. And we had quite a African-Canadian community at that time. This is before, and mostly before and during the Civil War in the United States. So we have a really proud history there, and Emancipation Day is a great event. It was basically recognizing the Abolition Act of 1833, which came into effect on August 1st, 1834, which outlawed slavery in the British Empire. And you know, we actually, by the way, John Graves Simcoe, the first Lieutenant Governor, was the first person in the world to put legislation. It didn't ban per se slavery, but it banned the importation of slaves, and that was, at the time, it was revolutionary legislation. So we have a lot of proud history here in Oakville and Ontario in terms of our involvement in that. So that was a great event that I was at. This weekend coming up, we have the Songs of Summer Festival. So that's Friday night. Lakeshore will be closed off. I'll be speaking at 7:15 that night at the main stage, and Saturday, Songs of Summer will be around as well. So that's another event to look forward to. So lots of local events. There'll be more obviously happening. I'll try to make out to as many. And by the way, if anyone here is involved in any organizations or community groups, please let me know if you want to inform me as to any events, and we'll try and make it out, because we certainly want to meet people and get involved in the community as well. We've been sending out, we sent out the email for this. In terms of the legislature, I've spoken 4 or 5 times myself. I did the inaugural speech actually a couple weeks ago, so that's on our YouTube channel. It was in our email as well. We will be putting together an MPP website as well, and that, I would expect that to be up sometime in September. So you can look forward to that. That should be ready, I would suggest mid-September at some point then as well. And also a further update, today I was at the Parliament, and it was certainly a very fun day with the NDP and their tactics, but I don't know if any of you saw it on TV. I think the Ontario Legislative Channel, it used to have about 4 people watching it. It's now, I think, breaking all-time ratings.
5 now, 5.
It's, boy, it's actually quite interesting to watch. And even on CP24, every time we come out of the chamber there, it's right on CP24, and everyone's trying to interview all the members there and see what they can dig up. So I think it's catching people's attention, you know. But we're doing things. We're making things happen, and that's always going to ruffle a few feathers when you make things happen. But you know, that's the way it is in business and life. If you want to make things happen, you're going to have to rock the boat a little bit. So we're excited about that. Now today, I'm proud to tell you as well. I sat in. I'm part of the Finance and Economic Affairs Committee, and today I was voted the chair of that committee as well. So I'm proud of that, and that will be very much involved in pre-budget consultations across Ontario and getting involved in the budget and the financial and economic affairs of this province, and I'm sure the line-by-line audit. So I'll keep you abreast on that. So there's going to be a lot of work there to do, that's for sure. So that's basically the update I wanted to say. I think I touched on all the key points I wanted to. I think the most important thing is that, you know, this is a government that's taken action, and we are in it for the long term. We're in it for decisions that we really believe are in the best interest of this province. And I'm excited to be a part of that. It's a very exciting environment. People are motivated, they're excited, they're re-energized. There seems like it's a whole new buzz around Queen's Park. Like, it's just a whole exciting environment to be around. I'm really happy to be there. Hopefully we'll get finished next week if we clear up all our business and legislation, and then we'll be able to spend a bit more time in Oakville and get the office set up here and whatnot. So we're looking forward to that. But it's going very, very well. I'm honored to be here tonight and to be representing all of you at Queen's Park from Oakville. And I'll continue to do the best I can do in my capacity as the MPP for all the people of Oakville. And before I wrap up, the buck of beer does not come into effect August 27th. Thank you.